Welcome back to this already, the final segment of today's Price of Business, and I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you very fast about you and your business. It's your business to be concerned about what's happening out there in the political front. I don't know if you had the misfortune of waking up late on Sunday morning and deciding to watch, oh my goodness, this week with George Stephanopoulos. Man, I can barely talking about what I saw. I have been a Mike Pence fan for a long time. Rumor had it he was involved in a potential coup attempt against John Boehner back in 2011. I had wished it happened, but I tell you, man, he flubbed so seriously. He had no business doing that interview, and it was an embarrassment, and it brought out the worst in every politician. And frankly, George Stephanopoulos was an absolute gentleman. I would have just said screw you, and I would have turned it off and would have turned around and went back to talking to the audience directly and apologized for a guest who was unable to even have a basic conversation about the topic. It was horrific. He had no business doing it.
Are you saying he got spanked?
He should have. Mr. Stephanopoulos was too polite.
Oh well, then this is for Mike Pence.
There you go. He deserved that and more. Frankly, based on what I saw, I think he may have enjoyed that. There has to be, frankly, a masochistic streak in a person that would submit themselves to an interview that they were completely unwilling. Not only unable, because he may have actually been able, but unwilling to conduct. Why do you do an interview if you're unwilling to engage in the interview?
Well, I think he was just honestly taken by surprise by all of the backlash.
That's the one thing I know for sure that he said about 15 times in the interview is that I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I'm shocked.
Yeah, because 19 other states have the same basic wording, and it's something Bill Clinton signed into law in 1993. Yeah. It's not like it's something new that's out of the gate, never been done before. So I understand why he was kind of, flabbergasted by the. Here's the difference. Now we have social media, and now we have a really well-oiled machine of activists for the gay and lesbian lifestyle, and
we have an entire generation of kids that have been taught that lifestyle is completely acceptable.
And there's a perception that it's
22 years of people who now believe, oh, this is perfectly normal. Yeah. Why do we still have these debates?
Right. It's a perception in the public at large that it's normal. It's not the margin anymore. Now it's the mainstream. And even though they make up a very small fraction of a percent of the population of the country,
you wouldn't know it, would you?
You would think that they are this Leviathan, army, which honestly, when it comes to the First Amendment protection versus, you have a protected class versus an unprotected class in terms of where the law is in the Constitution. There is no enumerated right for gay marriage or for homosexuality in any facet of our existence.
But we do have that for free speech.
We do have that for free speech. We do have that
freedom of assembly,
and freedom
of even association is implied in the First Amendment of the Constitution.
Right, and most importantly here, religious belief, freedom to practice your religion,
freedom of religion,
and not have that infringed. And that's the problem, Kevin. We have an argument right now in the media that is all about Christians versus gays. It's all about God versus gays. Okay, and now that gays have, and I'm using the term gays because that's the term that's bandied about. I would prefer homosexuals, but we're going to say gods versus gays. Okay, and you can't win that argument anymore. You can't make God seem like the reasoned party. Not when homosexuals, gays.
So God is bad now in our current
God
culture.
is bad now.
Yeah, I think we saw this in the works, for decades. Closing of the American Mind made it very clear that that's where we were heading as a culture. If you read the Closing of American Mind, we are where the author predicted we would be. If you read in the early 1990s, an illiberal education by Dinesh D'Souza, we're exactly where he warned we would be. And so Francis Schaeffer, one of my favorite writers, Francis Schaeffer may have put it best back in the 80s when he said that we don't have a generation gap problem, we have an education gap problem. And so all the things that you and I were taught about right from wrong have been completely obliterated over the last 20 years of classroom teaching. So about 20 years ago, when he signed that into law, Clinton signed that into law, it was thinkable finally. That's why he had to sign that into law, right? That there could be a massive paradigm shift. Whereas 20 years before him, it was unthinkable. Right. In fact, then the standard was homosexuality was a mental illness. The Psychiatric Association said that just 20 years before him signing that into law. And now today we have the complete, we're like Schaeffer said, that which is unthinkable one generation becomes thinkable the next, and then the rule of law are common practice.
Inevitable.
After that. And we're now in that third stage when it comes to this issue.
But here's where it's going to be very difficult for anybody to defend against the gay position is love is love. This is what we keep hearing. Love is love. And if two men who are adults, legally, right, and they want to have a consensual relationship, or two women, it's going to be very difficult in this day and age to argue against that. And here's the saddest part about this whole RFRA law. It has nothing to do with that. It does not say that gays can't marry. It does not say that that they can't have a relationship. This is what the argument has come down to. It's God versus gays, but the law itself has nothing to do with that.
Yep.
And you're not able to hear the real crux of the legislation because it's being shouted down by cries of prejudice, of bigotry, of homophobia, I guess, and so we're not able to even have an honest conversation about what Mike Pence signed into law. He couldn't even have an honest conversation about it on Sunday morning,
which is why I shouldn't even bother doing the interview.
So
we'll release a statement when we know what the hell we're doing.
Well, and apparently that's what he's doing this week. But the point is, what we have been hearing in the media is not a just representation of the facts of the law.
Yeah.
Not that that matters. Not that that's anything other than commonplace at this point. But that's what we're being fed is it's God versus gays. And this is all, I mean, even the corporations, I found, I can't remember who wrote it. I think it was in the weekly, National Review. Somebody had written saying, okay, all of a sudden corporations are people.
Right.
Because the liberals are using the corporations like Apple and the NCAA and a bunch of other businesses to go after Indiana, right?
Yep.
Before, corporations, it was a bad thing to consider that a corporation could be anything other than an entity, a business entity. It couldn't have people. It couldn't have a voice. But now they're using the corporate voice to boycott Indiana.
Mm-hmm. Although I think businesses should have always, I think businesses do represent individual values because, you go back to, Hobby Lobby. I think they should have all the right in the world to, determine how they want their insurance to look if it goes against their.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the
values.
liberals were against that.
Oh, I see. So now they're being hypocritical.
They were saying that, hey, a corporation shouldn't have a voice because it's not a human being. But here, and Elizabeth Warren and other people were saying that. But now those same people are glomming onto Apple and Salesforce and a whole bunch of other corporations that have decided to boycott Indiana.
We should boycott all those businesses, shouldn't we?
No. I don't think that any of this deserves a boycott at all. George Takei is on the air.
Yeah, but if those businesses boycott Indiana, shouldn't we boycott those businesses?
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think boycotts are largely ridiculous.
We should support religious freedom.
Well, but that's...
This silence is brought to you by Sigmund Kramer.
That's too broad. Okay? Here's what we were talking about before we went on air. Was if they want
Don't say that. Oh, the other thing.
Yeah. if they want to frame it in such a way that will shut down the liberals completely and even get our current administration on board, all they have to do is say, we're doing this to protect Muslims.
Yeah. Your friend down the hall was talking about that, huh?
Think about that. If they said
Sam
that,
Malone.
If they said that, what would they be able to say in response? Because we're so worried about protecting the religious
That's what they
rights
really
of
should
Muslims.
call it. They should call it the Islamic Religious Freedom Act.
Oh boy, that would go over well. Not, no.
Why?
In Indiana, no.
Why not?
Well, first of all, you do that, and then you open up the, I guess, the floodgates for Sharia law protections.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. But the point is,
we can at least articulate that perspective.
if they framed it,
the issue.
Yeah, if they framed it in such a way that it was going to protect the rights of Muslims, it would be a lot harder for the administration and the liberal activists to get up in arms about it.
Well, friends, pandemonium's coming to a neighborhood near you is all I can say based on what's happening culturally, trend-wise. It's disastrous. Mike Pence really proved to be a disaster, and I was shocked. And it'd be interesting to see what happens with this. I think we're going to see where the idea of religious tolerance is going to become history rather quickly in this country. What I think.
I think if
it's not already.
It's already history. Yeah.
All right. Well, God bless America, or at least the America we used to remember. All right. How's that for a positive point to end on? When we come back tomorrow, we're going to have much more for you. We want to remind you the show continues 24/7 at priceofbusiness.com, and the best content here can be found over there at usdailyreview.com. Have a great day spending it right here.